I had just been reborn and transmigrated when I found myself tied to a disciplinary pillar. I was on the verge of death, having been lashed by the God-beating whip. Two whispering voices reached my ears. Sister Qingwei, Bai Yuan is your biological brother. If you keep hitting him like this, he will die. Lingxi, I'm not the only one who framed Bai Yuan for ambushing our junior brother. Aren't you his fiancé as well? Don't worry, he won't die. As long as he stops resisting, I can extract his chaos spiritual root intact and give it to our junior brother. If I extract it by force, the spiritual root's attributes will definitely be greatly diminished. Bai Yuan may be my biological brother, but if he hadn't kept targeting junior brother, I wouldn't treat him like this. Lingxi, you know how pure and kind junior brother is. His only wish is to ascend via the righteous path. We must help him. Besides, even if Bai Yuan loses his spiritual root, so what? He'll still have us to accompany him. You should be content. Sister Qingwei, you're right. This is all what Bai Yuan owes junior brother. The next second, I suddenly realized something. Had my great ascension stage cultivation from my previous life as a demon venerable actually followed me here? No wonder I could hear such faint whispering so clearly. Furthermore, this body's cultivation attribute was actually the once-in-a-millennium chaos spiritual root. I was instantly overjoyed. In my previous life, I failed to ascend and my soul was extinguished precisely because my natural aptitude was too poor. With the chaos spiritual root in this life, ascending to immortality is just around the corner. I composed my mind and slightly raised my eyes. Before me was a massive sect square. Looking out, the area was packed with sect disciples, a dense crowd of at least 3,000 people. Every single one of them was staring at me with fury. The memories of the original host instantly flooded my mind. It turns out my name is Bai Yuan. I'm not only the third senior brother of the sect, but also the sect master's biological son. Born with a chaos spiritual root, I was the #1 genius of the entire Xianqing sect. The eldest senior sister, Bai Qingyue, is my biological sister. The second senior sister, Shen Lingxi, is my fiancée. One could say that before the junior brother, Yi Huaijin, appeared, the original host was the absolute darling of the entire sect. Almost the entire sect used to revolve around the original owner of this body. Every precious resource was his for the taking. Although Yi Huaijin possessed a mundane spirit root, he bore a striking resemblance to the original owner's younger brother, who had tragically died in childhood. His mother had burst into tears the moment she first laid eyes on him, and his father went so far as to announce, in front of the entire sect, that he was adopting Yi Huaijin as his godson. That marked the beginning of the original owner's nightmare. Step by step, Yi Huaijin schemed, slandering him, playing the victim, and feigning innocence. The original owner was punished by his parents and elder sister at the slightest provocation, forced to kneel and endure slaps to the face. All the favor and glory that originally belonged to him were transferred to Yi Huaijin. This continued until the recent Secret Realm trial, in which 300 inner disciples participated. Ignoring everyone's objections, Yi Huaijin insisted on stealing the companion immortal herb of a rank 7 desolate beast. As expected, this completely enraged the creature. The world seemed to shatter as the beast rampaged through the ranks, nearly annihilating the entire 300-man team. At the critical moment between life and death, it was the original owner who burned his very life essence to barely slay the beast and save everyone. The battle was brutal. Yi Huaijin's spirit root was shattered, and the original owner was also gravely injured, his life hanging by a thread. However, upon returning to the sect, the original owner's own biological sister, Bai Qingyue, conspired with all the inner disciples to frame him. They claimed he had coveted Yi Huaijin's immortal herb, and that his sneak attack had shattered Yi Huaijin's spirit root, turning him into a cripple. The entire sect was incensed, leading to this very tribunal. Their goal was to force me to voluntarily surrender my chaos spirit root to Yi Huaijin as atonement. Yeah. Since you want to play, this venerable one shall play along with you ants. At that moment, a disciple from the Hall of Discipline cupped his hands toward Bai Qingyue. Eldest senior sister, Bai Yuan has already endured 1,000 lashes. His soul is fading. If we continue, I fear, both his soul and body will be utterly destroyed. Standing atop the high platform, Bai Qingyue's eyes were filled with malice. Rest assured, Bai Yuan possesses a chaos spirit root. His soul and physique are far beyond those of ordinary men. It's only 1,000 lashes. He won't die. I could overlook his usual bullying of Huaijin, but he actually dared to launch a sneak attack, shattering Huaijin's spirit root. If we don't teach him a harsh lesson this time, how will he ever learn? Bai Qingyue swept a look of disdain over me and shouted sternly, "Keep hitting him!" The disciplinary hall disciples dared not delay. They swung the god-beating whip, which whistled through the air as it lashed toward my face. Right then, the ropes binding me shattered. I raised my hand slightly and easily caught the god-beating whip, gripping it firmly. The disciple was stunned. He pulled with all his might for a long while, but the whip didn't budge an inch. The surrounding disciples instantly erupted in an uproar. He actually dares to resist? Bai Yuan, do you have a shred of conscience left? Junior brother's spirit root is shattered. What's wrong with you taking a few lashes? Utterly unrepentant. Eldest senior sister is right. A person like him should have his spirit root extracted to compensate junior brother. Exactly. Junior brother is so kind-hearted. How could you have the heart to bully him? Right. You are so malicious. Why haven't you offered up your chaos spirit root yet? Bai Qingyue stood on the high platform, her face so gloomy it looked as if it were about to drip with malice. Bai Yuan, you truly haven't changed your wretched ways. Refusing to admit your faults, unrepentant. Do you really intend to follow this dark path to the end? Yi Huaijin's tears began to fall. Brother, it's all my fault. My aptitude is low. I don't deserve the immortal herb. If you wanted it, you only had to say the word. I would have surely given it to you. How could you be so heavy-handed with me? Then, with tearful eyes, he turned to look up at the high platform. Father, mother, sister, please don't blame brother. It's all my fault. Since brother dislikes me so much, I will just leave. Please, don't punish brother on my account. My fiancée, Shun Lingxi, her heart aching for him, pulled Yi Huaijin into her arms. Junior brother, Bai Yuan has bullied you to this extent, and you're still speaking up for him? You are so kind. You naturally deserve the best things in this world. Never mind the immortal herb. Even Bai Yuan's chaos spirit root should be yours. Yi Huaijin looked up, casting a look of pure smugness toward me. My father's face was grim as he immediately turned his wrath on me. Vile son, do you still dare to resist? If you hadn't bullied Huaijin time and again, bringing shame upon the Bai family, how could I, your father, treat you this way? Mother's eyes were filled with disappointment. If I had known it would come to this, I should have strangled him to death the moment I gave birth to him. Bai Qingyue walked down from the high platform step by step, coming to a stop before me. She looked down at me, her eyes brimming with loathing. I'm giving you one last chance. Voluntarily surrender your primal chaos spirit root. I will beg Father to spare your life, and you will remain my beloved younger brother. Otherwise, she didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was already clear. I raised my eyes and looked at her mockingly. I took a careful look at this so-called biological sister. Her features did indeed bear some resemblance to the original owner of this body. But in those phoenix eyes, there was only cold calculation and disgust, not a shred of familial affection. I suddenly found it somewhat amusing. These people of the righteous path are indeed far more hypocritical than us demonic cultivators. These so-called relatives actually want to gouge out their own biological son's spirit root to gift it to an adopted one. Is this something a human being is even capable of? In my previous life, I was the demon venerable. I commanded hundreds of millions of demonic cultivators and dominated the world. Back then, Every member of the righteous path would tremble with fear at the mere mention of my name. Now, look at this. A bunch of juniors of the Golden Core and nascent soul stages have actually tied me to a pillar and are demanding that I voluntarily surrender my spirit root. The contrast is truly entertaining. By Qingyue, lower your voice. I spoke lazily, my voice calm, but laced with a hint of disgust. TSK, your spit is flying all over my face. The entire area fell silent. Bai Qingyue froze. She clearly hadn't expected that. Even in such a state, I would still dare to speak to her this way. What did you say? I said, shut your mouth. I let out a roar, and the aura on my body suddenly erupted. A majestic pressure, like the weight of 100,000 mountains, instantly enshrouded the entire field. I casually slapped Bai Qingyue away like a fly. With a thunderous crash, she slammed into the ground, carving out a human-shaped crater several dozen feet deep. Bai Qingyue spat out a mouthful of blood, her eyes filled with utter disbelief. How? How is this possible? Bai Yuan had burned his essence blood and was severely injured. How could he still possess such terrifying combat power? Dust billowed over the square, blotting out the sky. Thousands of people were enveloped by my overwhelming pressure. One by one, they knelt on the ground, struggling in vain to rise. Some of the weaker disciples were even coughing up blood repeatedly. Dead silence. Everyone stared at me as if I were a demon god descended upon the world, their eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Even the sect leader, Bai Zhan, who was at the early stage of the soul transformation realm, was forced onto one knee. Veins bulged on his skin as he struggled, yet he remained unable to stand. The ground could not withstand such immense pressure and cracked like a spiderweb. He gritted his teeth and looked up at me, his eyes full of horror. Wasn't this rebellious son only at the middle stage of the nascent soul realm? This pressure is at least at the middle stage of soul transformation. How is this possible? He roared at me in a rage. Wretch, how could I have sired such a rebellious, unfilial son? What exactly do you want? I ignored him. Instead, I walked slowly toward the 300 inner sect disciples. The pressure remained. Like an invisible mountain, it weighed heavily on them, pinning them in place. The inner disciples knelt on both knees, their hands pressed hard against the shattered ground, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. I stood before my fourth junior brother, the one who had been closest to the original owner of this body. In the original owner's memories, he shared every secret with him. The two often drank and practiced their swords together. They were fellow disciples, and more importantly, best friends. Fourth junior brother, speak. Was it I who ambushed and seriously injured our little junior brother? Was it? Forced to his knees by the crushing pressure, my fourth junior brother trembled like a leaf, sweat pouring down his forehead. Terrified and bewildered by my sudden surge in power, he forced himself to speak. Senior brother Bai, it's not too late to turn back. I saw you sneak attack and gravely injure little junior brother to steal the spirit herbs with my own eyes. Stop your lies. I raised my hand and slammed my palm down onto the crown of his head. With a deafening boom, he was instantly reduced to a cloud of bloody mist. Lu Chun, the fourth junior brother, was an inner sect disciple at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. He was the best brother, who had followed the original owner of this body for 6 years, shared 360 drinks, and practiced the sword together thousands of times. Just like that, he had vanished into a mist of blood, without so much as a bone fragment left behind. Once again, a deathly silence fell over the crowd, a silence even deeper than before. It was as if everyone's throat had been gripped. Even their breathing seemed to stop. Every person felt a tremor that shook their very souls. Was this still the same spineless, submissive senior brother Bai they once knew? I remained expressionless, speaking in a flat tone. Next, those two words were airy, like the whisper of a demon. The pupils of the 3,000 disciples present constricted in unison. Panic-stricken, Yi Huaijin fell to his knees and began to kowtow incessantly, weeping and wailing. "Brother, it's one thing to bully me, but how could you kill fourth senior brother? I beg of you, brother, stop now. Don't keep making these mistakes." My fiancée, Shun Lingxi, pulled him even closer into her embrace. When she turned to look at me, her gaze was as cold as ice. "Bai Yuan, not only did you torment your junior brother, but now you have murdered a fellow disciple. Kneel and beg for forgiveness this instant. How did you become such a monster? If you had even a 10,000th of Huaijin's kindness, we wouldn't have treated you this way." Bai Zhan's roar erupted from the high platform. "You unfilial wretch! How dare you?" "Shut up." I didn't even turn around, my voice devoid of any emotion. With a casual wave of my hand, a surge of powerful energy shot out like a cannonball, striking Bai Zhan with pinpoint accuracy. The sect leader of the Xianxing sect, an expert at the early stage of the soul transformation realm, felt as if he had been struck head-on by a massive mountain. He was sent flying backward, shattering the stone pillars of the high platform before slamming heavily into the ruins, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. "Old thief, if you dare utter another word, I will send you to your grave right now." My voice remained as calm as ever. Bai Zhan lay sprawled on the ground, his eyes filled with shock and humiliation. His lips trembled uncontrollably, and in the end, he did not dare say a single word. It wasn't that he didn't want to, he simply didn't dare. From my eyes, he saw a bone-chilling, genuine killing intent. That overwhelming intent was as if a great demon had emerged from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, making his very soul tremble. The others were even more terrified, falling as silent as cicadas in winter. Only the sect leader's wife wailed loudly. "What a sin! How did I give birth to such a rebellious son?" I ignored them and walked straight to my junior sister, looking down at her. "Junior sister, your Azure Frost sword was the greeting gift I gave you. Every piece of jewelry and every magical treasure you own was a gift from me. When you first joined the sect and the Hawan sect launched a sneak attack, their saint took a liking to you and nearly carried you off. It was I, Bai Yuan, who fought a desperate battle to save you. Tell me, did I really ambush our little junior brother? In my memories, before that boy arrived, she used to follow me everywhere, her constant chattering giving me a headache. But now, she bit her lip firmly and remained silent, wearing an expression of unyielding defiance. Without a moment's hesitation, I struck her with a palm, reducing her to a mist of blood. Those who refuse to speak shall die. Her form vanished completely before she could even let out a scream. The jewelry and treasures she wore were ground into powder by the shockwave of spiritual energy. They drifted through the air like a silent funeral. Next, the remaining inner disciples were paralyzed with terror. Finally breaking down, they began to wail and beg for mercy. "Third senior brother, please spare us." It was the little junior brother. He ignored our warnings and stole the companion immortal herb of a 7th-ranked desolate beast. He enraged the beast and nearly got us all killed. Yes. It was you who saved us, senior brother. Junior brother's spirit root was only destroyed because he was caught in the aftermath of the beast's attack. It had nothing to do with you. We were wrong. We truly know we were wrong. It was the eldest and second senior sisters who made us slander you. Really, it had nothing to do with us. Senior brother Bai, please, give us one more chance. The moment these words were spoken, the sect master, lying amidst the ruins, was stunned. The elders and the thousands of outer sect disciples who were ignorant of the truth all froze in their tracks. The sect master's wife's crying stopped abruptly, the sound catching sharply in her throat. "Qingwei, Huaijin, how could you do something so despicable? Yuan er, since it's a misunderstanding, let's just let this matter go. Mother will surely give them a good scolding." The faces of Yi Huaijin, Bai Qingwei, and Shun Lingxi turned deathly pale, one by one. At this moment, the cries for mercy continued to rise and fall across the square. I turned a deaf ear to the sect master's wife's words. I walked slowly toward these inner sect disciples, my gaze sweeping across each of their faces. You say it was the eldest senior sister, the second senior sister, and junior brother who forced you. Did they hold a blade to your necks? Or did they poison you? Or perhaps kidnap your families? Oh, judging by your expressions, none of the above, and yet you still chose to frame me. Is it because right now I am the most disliked person in the entire sect? Unloved by my father, uncared for by my mother, while an adopted son is uniquely favored. Even my own sisters and my fiancé personally ordered you to turn on me. I paused for a moment before continuing. Seeking benefit and avoiding harm is human nature. I don't blame you. Hearing this, the inner sect disciples, who were unable to move, felt a sudden surge of joy in their hearts. But then my tone shifted. But without me, you would have died in the secret realm long ago. Since you were accomplices, there is no longer any need for you to continue living. One must always pay the price for their choices. Isn't that right? The moment the words left my mouth, I struck downward with my palm. A gargantuan hand blotted out the sun, enveloping all the inner sect disciples beneath it. Across the square, sand and stones flew as wind and thunder roared. A terrifying pressure surged between heaven and earth like a monstrous tidal wave. No! Along with thunderous roars of rage, those inner disciples were instantly reduced to a mist of blood. The blood mist churned frantically in the air above the square, refusing to dissipate for a long time. The entire audience was paralyzed with shock. One by one, they stood like statues, utterly motionless. Extreme terror crawled up their spines like a venomous snake. One man, one palm strike, and 300 inner disciples were annihilated. Was this still the same submissive Bai Yuan they once knew? This level of horror had clearly exceeded the boundaries of their comprehension. The way they looked at me was as if they were looking at a demon. Shun Lingxi knelt on the ground, her arms still locked in a hug around Yi Huaijin, but her hands shook uncontrollably, and her entire body trembled. Yi Huaijin stared at me blankly, his eyes filled with nothing but dazed confusion. Bai Zhan lay amidst the ruins, his eyes vacant and his lips quivering incessantly, yet he could not make a sound. 300 inner disciples. That was the core strength of the Xinxing sect. They were the elites he had spent decades of painstaking effort to cultivate. And now they were all gone? Then came his furious, guttural roar. You unfilial son, even if Qing Yue and Huaijin framed you, you are the older brother. So what if you gave your spirit root to your younger brother? Can't you be a bit more magnanimous? Did you have to take things to this extreme? If you hadn't always bullied Huaijin, why would they have ever come up with such a scheme? Heh, they want me to be magnanimous? If they only knew that their biological son was already dead. He died under the God-striking whip. He died because of the lies of these slanderers. I wonder how they would react if they knew. The sect leader's wife hurriedly added, Exactly, Bai Yuan. How could you do something so heinous, something that outrages both gods and men? Why can't you be more sensible like Huaijin? Bai Yuan. A voice drifted from the ruins behind me. It was hoarse, weak, and carried a bone-deep hatred. Bai Qingyue slowly crawled out of the massive crater. Her eyes were bloodshot as she glared at me with a deathly intensity. You killed them. You killed everyone. Her voice was trembling. They were innocent. They were only following my orders. If you want to kill someone, kill me. Why did you have to kill them? You monster. I turned around and looked at her coldly. You're right. I walked toward her. They followed your orders. They were your accomplices. Every single one of them had my blood on their hands. I stopped in front of her and looked down at her. But you, Bai Qingyue, were the mastermind. Bai Qingyue's pupils constricted violently. She instinctively wanted to retreat, but her legs refused to obey her. So rest assured, I will not forget you. The soul of the original owner had already dissipated. It had been forcibly whipped to pieces by the God-beating whip. Only a sliver of a remnant soul remained in the subconscious of this body. Since I have taken over his body, I will exact this revenge for him. I turned my palm into a blade and hacked off her right hand with brute force. Bai Qingyue's scream tore through the heavens as blood sprayed wildly from the stump of her arm. She gripped the severed end of her right arm with her left hand, her delicate body convulsing violently, her face deathly pale. My hand! My hand! Bai Zhan was driven to madness. He tried to lung from the ruins, but was pinned down by my pressure, unable to move a muscle. He trembled all over, the fury in his eyes seemingly wanting to incinerate me. Rebellious son, what on earth are you doing? You truly crippled your own sister. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning and cursed by the world? Mother stared at me fixedly, her eyes filled with venom. Bai Yuan, you beast. She is your biological elder sister. How? How could you bring yourself to do this? Bai Qingyue had also gone mad, her eyes bloodshot as she roared at me through gritted teeth. Bai Yuan, I am your biological sister. How dare you treat me like this? If you hadn't bullied Huaijin time and again, why would I have set a trap to gouge out your spiritual root for him? Huaijin is so kind. You owe him all of this. Hearing their roars, I wished I could slap them all to death. But in my subconscious, a sliver of the original host's remnant soul harbored a sky-high hatred. Today, I will let them die with a clear understanding of the truth. I reached out with my large hand toward Yi Huaijin. He was immediately caught in my grasp like a dead dog. With one palm strike, I shattered his dantian and I tore his right arm off by force. You dog, speak. Did I really bully you or not? Yi Huaijin's screams were even more shrill and miserable than Bai Qingyue's. Blood sprayed wildly from the severed limb. His fair face twisted beyond recognition. He writhed frantically in my hand, struggling desperately. Father, mother, sister, save me. Brother, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong now. Please let me go. I'll never dare to do it again. The look in his eyes when he saw me was pure terror. Bai Zhan's spiritual energy surged through his body as he tried to break free from the restraint of my pressure, his muscles bulging. No, damn you, you unfilial son. I will kill you. Blood was still gushing from Bai Qingyue's severed arm, yet she seemed completely oblivious to it. She merely used her remaining left hand to prop herself up, trying to crawl toward me. Bai Yuan, let Huaijin go. He's still young. He doesn't understand anything. If you have the guts, come at me instead. Shun Lingxi's eyes were nearly splitting with rage. Bai Yuan, you beast. If you dare touch Huaijin one more time, I will never acknowledge you again. Even if you kneel and beg me, I won't give you another look. Mrs. Bai stared at me fixedly, wishing she could skin and eat her own biological son alive. Bai Yuan, if you dare touch another hair on Huaijin's head, I will smash my head and die right here on this square. I'll let the whole world know that you, Bai Yuan, are a beast who hounded his own mother to death. I ignored them, my eyes filled with rising ferocity. With another pull, I tore off Yi Huaijin's left arm by force. Tough bones, aren't they? Are you going to talk or not? My voice wasn't loud, but a powerful pressure condensed into a single line, piercing directly into his sea of consciousness. Yi Huaijin's body suddenly stiffened. His pupils trembled violently, and his lips could not stop quivering. No what? Brother, you didn't bully me. It was me who kept slandering and framing you. Brother, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present couldn't help but widen their eyes. The gaze they directed at Yi Huaijin was full of disbelief and shock. Bai Qingyue froze for a moment, then gritted her teeth so hard that blood flowed freely, making her look extremely terrifying. Bai Yuan, you extorted a confession through torture. Do you think we'll believe you? You monster! You beast! How dare you treat Huaijin like this? I will kill you. Hearing this, Bai Zhan quickly reacted. You rebellious son, are you satisfied now? Huaijin has been beaten into this state by you. Does he even dare to speak the truth? Shun Lingxi's eyes were shrouded in gloom. We know exactly what kind of person Huai is. He is so kind-hearted that he wouldn't even step on an ant. How could he possibly frame you? I see it clearly. You're just jealous of him. You're jealous of how well we treat him. Madame Bai's tears wouldn't stop falling. Bai Yuan, how did you become like this? It's all because I didn't raise you well. You have already crippled both of Huai arms. It's not too late to turn back now. Release Huai, cripple your own arms, kneel and apologize to him. Then voluntarily offer your spiritual root to him, and I will act as if nothing ever happened. You will still be Mother's good son. Even though I've been the leader of the demonic cultivators for 3,000 years in my previous life, at this moment, I was rendered speechless by their words. Is this the kind of thing a human being would even say? Gripping Huai, who was limp like a dead dog, I gave a slight smile. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. I have another method that will let you see the truth clearly. Have you heard of the soul-searching technique? Today, this seat shall let you have a good look, and let you die with a clear understanding. The moment these words were spoken, a well-traveled elder immediately cried out in alarm. Soul-searching technique? That is an ancient secret art. How? How does he know it? Yi Huai struggled violently upon hearing this, but it was all in vain. His memories were instantly extracted by me and projected above the square. The first thing that came into view in the images was Qinyan Peak. This was the peak where the original owner of this body lived. The scenery was beautiful, with all kinds of spirit fruits growing across the mountainside. It was also the place with the densest spiritual energy in the entire Xianxing sect. The junior brother had not been at the sect for long, and the original owner was taking him on a tour of the grounds. However, he suddenly began to provoke the original owner. Brother, this peak is the best in the entire sect. Why are you the only one who gets to live here? Since you've lived here for so long, it's time you gave it up. The original owner looked bewildered. What? The junior brother suddenly began to harm himself, slapping his own face twice, pa, before striking his own chest with a palm. He immediately fell to the ground, spitting blood, letting out a shrill, piercing scream that reached the clouds. In an instant, the original owner's parents, sister, and fiancé arrived, descending as streaks of light. The junior brother sobbed heart-wrenchingly. Mom, Dad, I know brother doesn't like me. I didn't want his peak. I just want to come for a visit. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have come. I'll leave right now. Please, you must not blame brother. The four of them turned livid with rage. Bai Yuan, you're the older brother. What's wrong with yielding a little to your younger brother? It seems we spoiled you too much in the past, allowing you to become so arrogant and domineering. Look at what you've done to your brother. Apologize to Huai right now. Bai Yuan, you have disappointed us so much. The original owner was left speechless, unable to defend himself despite having 100 mouths. In this manner, the original owner was lectured by them in turn and forced to give up the mountain peak. The scene shifted. The junior brother was secretly taken by Qingyue's ice silk neon dress and a pile of undergarments and bloomers, hiding them in the original owner's room. Then, he led a crowd of people to search the room and discover them in public. The faces of the parents and the sister darkened completely. You rebellious son, how could you do something so despicable? You have completely shamed the Bai family and the Xianxing sect. Little brother, I pampered you so much in the past, yet you actually did such a lewd thing to me. You are simply shameless. If you ever dare touch my things again, I will act as if I no longer have a brother like you. His mother looked at him with agonizing heartbreak. Yuan, the evidence is mountain high, and yet you are still making excuses? Would Huai really frame you? Why can't you learn from him for once? Just like that, the original host was forced to kneel in the ancestral hall for 3 days and 3 nights. His entire body was lashed with whips until he was covered in wounds, without a single inch of unblemished skin left. The scene quickly shifted to the edge of a cliff in the Myriad Demon Valley. The junior brother leaned close to the original host, his eyes overflowing with smugness. Brother, now father, mother, and sister only love me. Even your fiancé only treats me well now. TSK, you really are a failure. If I were you, I would have killed myself by now. Brother, tell me, if I were to jump off this cliff right now, what do you think they would do to you? Having said that, the junior brother began to scream and wail. Brother, don't. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have come to the Xianxin sect. Please don't do this to me. With those words, he dove headlong off the cliff. From the perspective of others, it looked exactly as if the original host had pushed him. No! Bai Qingwei let out a shrill, piercing scream, then slammed her palm into the original host's chest. The original host was sent flying backward, crashing heavily into a massive boulder at the edge of the cliff. The boulder instantly shattered into pieces. Rebellious son, you dare to harm your own flesh and blood. Bai Zhan followed up with another palm strike, blasting it ruthlessly into the original host's body. The sound of the original host's bones snapping was crisp and clear. A massive crater was smashed into the rocky ground, sending stone fragments flying in all directions. The original host struggled to stand, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Father, I didn't. Yi Huaijin jumped off himself. You still dare to lie. If anything happens to Huaijin, I will make you go to the grave with him. Shun Lingxi looked at the original host, who lay there like a dead dog, her eyes filled with bone-chilling coldness. Bai Yuan, I used to think you were just being mischievous, but I never expected you to be so vicious. Mother rushed to the edge of the cliff, gazing toward the myriad demon valley, crying heart-wrenchingly. Bai Yuan, what did Huaijin do wrong? He only wanted a warm home. Why can't you tolerate him? Why? He is so kind. How could he possibly have jumped down himself? Clearly you pushed him. Your father and I saw it with our own eyes. And yet you're still making excuses. This time, I must teach you a proper lesson. That time, the original host was locked away in the astral wind purgatory. Every single moment, his flesh was sliced and shaved by the astral winds. The wounds would just begin to heal before being torn open again by the winds. There was not a single inch of intact skin on his entire body. That time, Bai Yuan nearly died inside. After watching these images, the entire venue fell into a deathly silence. Everyone was dumbstruck, shocked by the truth. The Bai family and Shun Lingxi, in particular, all had their mouths agape, as if they had forgotten how to breathe. After a long while, the sword in the sect master's wife's hand fell to the ground with a clatter. She collapsed weakly, her eyes filled with profound confusion as tears flowed down unconsciously. No, how could it be like this? What have I been doing all these years? Yuaner, my Yuaner, mother has failed you. Endless regret instantly submerged her. Dragging Huaijin, I walked step by step toward Bai Qingwei and looked at her mockingly. My dear sister, do you still think Huaijin is kind and innocent now? Do you still want to give my spiritual root to your dear little brother Huaijin? Bai Qingwei finally moved. Slowly, bit by bit, she raised her head to look at me. The venomous expression on her face finally cracked. Yuan. Her voice was hoarse, like a broken bellows. I'm sorry. Sister has wronged you. Her lips trembled uncontrollably as tears surged out, falling in large droplets onto the ground. Truly, I'm sorry. I really didn't know. I beg you, please spare me just this once. I was only deceived by that bastard Yi Huaijin. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong now. She lay prostrate on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly as she begged for mercy. I'm a victim too. Yuan, for the sake of how much I used to dote on you, please spare me this one time, okay? I will definitely make it up to you in the future. I looked down at her, a faint smirk playing on my lips. Forgiveness? Compensation? You didn't believe your own brother, choosing instead to trust an outsider. You even went as far as setting a trap to tear out your own brother's spiritual root for him. And now you ask for my forgiveness. Are you even worthy? Bai Qingyue's pleading expression froze instantly. I raised my hand and, with a single strike, shattered both of her legs. Ah! Bai Qingwei let out a blood-curdling, inhuman shriek. She collapsed onto the ground like a pile of mud, blood gushing simultaneously from her severed arms and legs. Her face twisted in agony as muffled, incoherent wails escaped her lips. My legs! My legs! Ard! Crushed to the floor by my spiritual pressure, Bai Zhan struggled and roared desperately. You beast! Even if we wronged you, how could you treat your sister like this? You monster! I'll kill you. Shen Lingxi knelt on the ground, her delicate frame trembling uncontrollably at the sight of Bai Qingyue's mangled state. Bai Yuan, how could you? How could you do this to your own sister? You know we were deceived by Yi Huaijin. Couldn't you just be a little more magnanimous? Did you really have to take it this far? I reached out and snatched Shen Lingxi into my grasp. Magnanimous, my ass. I tightened my grip. With a thunderous boom, Shen Lingxi exploded directly into a cloud of blood mist. Blood splattered all over Yi Huaijin's face and body. Snapping out of his daze, he screamed in terror. Brother, please, I beg you, spare me. I truly know I was wrong. I'll never do it again. The sect master's wife looked at me with a complex expression. After hesitating for a long while, she finally spoke. You honor. Mother was wrong. Mother was truly wrong. Please let Huaijin go. He was just momentarily confused. From now on, Mother will definitely treat you both well. I will never favor one over the other again. Hearing this, I laughed, but there wasn't a trace of warmth in my smile. I threw Yi Huaijin onto the ground like a dead dog, and with a single stomp, I directly crushed his third leg. Yi Huaijin convulsed in agony, his face flushing a deep crimson as the veins on his neck bulged. The gaze he leveled at me was filled with ultimate venom. Bai Zhan went completely insane. You unfilial son, you crippled your sister, and now you've crippled Huaijin. I want you dead. Break! Bai Zhan's roar exploded across the world like a thunderclap. He began to burn all of his essence blood, and blood-red flames blazed fiercely across the surface of his skin. This act was equivalent to sacrificing his own life in exchange for power that surpassed his limits for a short duration. His aura surged higher and higher. He was putting his life on the line. For Yi Huaijin, he was fighting with his life. Even if he won this battle, he would be reduced to a total cripple. How ironic. How could I not fulfill his wish after such a touching scene? In an instant, I withdrew the overwhelming pressure that had blanketed the entire area. Everyone throughout the sect felt an immediate release. They collapsed to the ground in unison before quickly scrambling back to their feet. Bai Zhan's battle intent reached the heavens, as if tearing the sky asunder. A violent aura surged and billowed through the world. Gale-force winds rose, sending sand and stones flying. All members of the Qingxian sect, hear my command. Bai Yuan has slaughtered his fellow disciples. He has fallen into the path of a demon. Deploy the Qingxian demon-slaying formation. Slay the demon. 3,000 disciples moved, swiftly ascending into the air and taking their positions in the 8 directions of the Bagua. 7 elders stood suspended in midair, each guarding a vital hub of the formation's eye. Like an inescapable net, they surrounded and trapped me within. I looked at the silhouettes filling the sky and let out a sinister, cackling laugh. I can give you all one more chance. Do you truly intend to kill me? The icy killing intent in their eyes did not waver in the slightest as they shouted in unison. Slay the demon. An invisible shockwave erupted with a thunderous boom. Thousands of sword chi crisscrossed the sky, tearing fine rifts into the very void, which continuously mended themselves. Watching the formation take shape, Bai Zhan laughed maniacally. The Qingxian demon-slaying formation is complete. Its power rivals that of the mid-stage tribulation transcendence realm. Today, you rebellious wretch, your death is certain. Your life was given to you by me, Bai Zhan. Your spiritual root was given by me. Everything you have was given by me. If I want you dead, you must die." Outside the formation, the sect leader's wife cried out in a panic. "You honor, just admit your fault. Hurry, kneel and apologize to your father, or you really will die." The crippled Bai Qingyue and Yi Huaijin glared at me, their eyes filled with venomous hatred and sadistic joy. I looked at the sect leader's wife and laughed loudly, my eyes brimming with mockery. "Madam Bai, don't you find it strange? The Valley of Myriad Demons is guarded by countless great demons. Even someone at the peak of the nascent soul realm would barely survive falling in. Why did Yi Huaijin, a mere foundation establishment cultivator, dare to jump in of his own accord? And how was he able to return completely unscathed? Don't you find it strange that Baijan would go as far as to burn his own lifeblood essence just to kill his own biological son, to vent the frustrations of a wicked foster son?" As soon as those words were spoken, the sect leader's wife's weeping expression froze instantly. The tear tracks were still on her face, but the sorrow and anxiety in her eyes were being replaced bit by something else. It was confusion, suspicion, and a scrutiny she had never before directed toward Yi Huaijin and Baijan. You on or what? What do you mean?" Baijan panicked. He roared, "Shut up! Activate the formation! Kill him!" The clouds and winds in the sky shifted instantly. Thousands of sword chi spanned 3,000 miles, like 10,000 arrows fired at once, or the roar of 10,000 dragons. They transformed into a massive silver dragon that shrieked toward me to strangle and kill. It pierced through the void and descended directly upon me. I smiled indifferently. Flashy nonsense. I slowly raised my right hand and let it fall lightly onto the head of the giant silver dragon. The silver dragon erupted with a roar, letting out a deafening explosion. Dozens of surrounding mountain peaks were caught in the powerful shockwave, sliced in half instantly and collapsing with a crash. Boulders soared through the air. Heaven and earth trembled. In an instant, the 3,000 disciples and 7 elders in the sky exploded into mists of blood. The blood mist spread, blotting out the sun. Fragments of bone and shattered swords, mixed with the rain of blood, showered down upon the square and the mountains. Watching this scene, my heart remained completely unmoved. He who kills shall be killed in turn. This is the cruelest law of the cultivation world. No, impossible. This is impossible. Bai Qingyue lay prone in a pool of blood, her eyes filled with profound terror and despair. No! With a guttural sound, Baijan spat out a large mouthful of essence blood. He slumped to the ground, his essence blood nearly burnt to nothing. His body aged at a speed visible to the eye. In moments, he became a wizened old man with wrinkled skin and white hair. How could this be? 3,000 disciples, 7 elders, all gone. That was the entire foundation of the Xianxing sect. Now it was all gone. To kill a rebellious son, he had destroyed the legacy of a 1,000-year-old sect in a single stroke. Baijan went mad, the fury in his eyes seemingly wanting to incinerate me. He roared at me, "You rebellious, unfilial wretch. If you have the guts, kill me. Come on. You aren't Bai Yuan. Who on earth are you?" I ignored Baijan's roars and walked over to Madame Bai. She looked up at me, consumed by terror, her eyes darting away, not daring to meet my gaze. "You honor. Mother was wrong." She grabbed the hem of my pants, her fingernails nearly digging into my flesh. I was also deceived by that little beast, Yi Huaijin. Please, spare your mother. From now on, Mother will only love you. I let out a cold sneer. Madame Bai, when I extracted Yi Huaijin's memories just now, I found something quite interesting. Would you like to take a look? Without waiting for her answer, I projected the memories of Yi Huaijin, who lay there like a dead dog. The scene was set in the Valley of 10,000 Demons. Baijan, Yi Huaijin, and a snow-white 9-tailed demon fox were living together. Yi Huaijin shifted between the form of a fox and a human. The family of 3 lived in perfect harmony. Father, Mother! The boy threw himself into Baijan's arms. Baijan scooped him up and spun him around, his laughter hearty and bright. A woman in white stood up and walked over to the father and son. She reached out to wipe the dust off the boy's face, her eyes full of doting affection. Jeaner, where did you go playing wild this time? Look at you, covered in mud again. Mother, I went to the back mountain to catch spirit rabbits. Father said that once Jeaner catches 100 of them, he'll teach me swordsmanship. The woman in white turned to Baijan and chided him playfully, "You're always spoiling him." Baijan pulled her close by the waist and laughed. Jeaner is my son. If I don't spoil him, who will? The scene flickered. Chaos broke out in the Valley of 10,000 Demons. The nine-tailed demon fox was besieged by a horde of demons, left gasping for her final breaths, on the verge of death. Enraged, Baijan slaughtered every last one of the attacking beasts. He held the nine-tailed demon fox, weeping with heart-wrenching grief. She lay in Baijan's arms, covered in blood, her face a terrifying shade of pale. Her hand brushed against Baijan's face, a faint smile touching her lips, her eyes filled with tenderness and longing. Brother Jean, I'm sorry. I can't stay with you any longer. You must take good care of Jeaner. Yi Huaijin knelt on the ground, trembling all over, tears streaming uncontrollably down his face. Baijan wept bitterly, swearing to the heavens that she was the only one he would ever love in this life. He buried the nine-tailed fox with his own hands. He knelt before the gravestone and wept for 3 days and 3 nights. On the 4th day, he stood up, wiped away his tears, and led Yi Huaijin by the hand out of the valley of 10,000 demons. Huaijin, from this day forward, you are not a demon. You are human. You will become the most powerful person in this world, and you will be the sole successor of my Xianxing sect. Your mother is watching you from the heavens. You must work hard. Yi Huaijin looked up at Baijan, his eyes filled with tears. Father, I will. The vision came to an abrupt halt. I stood before Madame Bai, looking down at her stunned state with a mocking gaze. Yeah. Madame Bai, how pitiable you are. Raising the son of a fox vixen, only to turn around and persecute your own flesh and blood? A bastard, a mere beast, and yet you treated him like a treasure. You even wanted your own son to cripple his own arms and kneel in apology to that mongrel. What a truly wonderful mother you are. Madame Bai, why don't you take another good look at this memory? I pulled out a memory from my childhood. It was a small fox cub that had wandered out of the Valley of 10,000 Demons because it was playing. It happened to encounter Madame Bai's young son, Baihan. The 7-year-old child's eyes lit up instantly, and he rushed forward joyfully, wanting to embrace it. But the fox cub's feral nature erupted, and it bit straight through the child's throat. At that moment, Baijan rushed over and happened to witness the scene. Instead of avenging his young son, Baijan picked up the fox cub and began to comfort it. Huaijin, are you all right? Are you hurt? He didn't even spare a glance for the small figure lying in a pool of blood on the ground. The 7-year-old child lay on the cold earth. Blood gushed wildly from his throat, and his small body could not stop twitching. His eyes gradually lost focus until he finally turned into a cold corpse. No! Madame Bai's gaze shifted from stunned silence to shock, and from shock, it rapidly ignited into a towering rage. That madness wasn't directed at me, but at the white-haired Baijan sprawled on the ground. Baijan! Madame Bai's voice was heart-wrenching, like a rusty dagger Raleigh tearing through her throat. She whirled around and lunged at Baijan like a madwoman. The man she had once adored, revered, and tried so desperately to please was now slumped on the ground like a dead dog. She threw herself upon him, her nails raking fiercely across his face. One bloody gash followed another. That was my son, my Hong. He was only 7 when he died. 7 years old. You watched with your own eyes as that beast mauled him to death, and you didn't even try to save him. Instead, you held that beast and asked if it was hurt. Baijan, you're not human. You're a beast. You're worse than a beast. Choked until he was breathless, Bai Zhan tried to push her away, only to find he couldn't muster a shred of strength. The backlash of burning his essence blood had left him a complete cripple. You're crazy. Bai Zhan's voice was hoarse. Let go. You lunatic. If my father hadn't forced me to marry you, how could I have been separated from Ahu for all those years? This is all your fault. How could your son's life even compare to a single hair on Ahu's child's head? Haha, I'm crazy. Madame Bai threw her head back and laughed, her voice shrill and piercing. Yes, I'm crazy. I have every right to be crazy. I raised that beast as my own son for 8 years. For his sake, I beat and scolded my own flesh and blood. To make that beast happy, I even tried to force Yuan to cripple his own arms and kneel to apologize to him. I even nearly dug out Yuan's spiritual root for that beast. Ha ha, ha ha ha. I served you for all those years, yet I don't even hold a 10,000th of the place that Vixen has in your heart. She laughed until her entire body shook, until the tears streamed down her face. Then it turned into weeping. The weeping gradually escalated into loud, gut-wrenching wails. It was the breakdown of a mother, 8 years overdue. The breakdown of a wife, decades late. Bai Qingyue's eyes were equally bloodshot. She crawled toward Yi Huaijin like a mad woman, sinking her teeth into his neck with savage ferocity. Yi Huaijin, you beast! You monster! How could you kill my baby brother? You kept lying to me. Just die. The four of them split into 2 battlefields, tearing at each other like savage beasts. It was a scene of gruesome carnage, with blood and flesh flying everywhere. Before long, Bai Zhan and Yi Huaijin were defeated, lying on the ground on the verge of death, their breathing shallow. Madame Bai knelt on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly in a fit of repentance. Yuan, mother was wrong. Mother failed you. Madame Bai's forehead slammed against the gravel-covered ground again and again. Blood flowed freely, mixing with her tears as they dripped into the dust. I shouldn't have cursed you for the sake of that beast. I shouldn't have forced you to give up your mountain peak to him. I shouldn't have forced you to kneel and apologize to him. I shouldn't have stood outside the astral wind purgatory, listening to you scream for help for 7 days and nights, without taking a single step inside. Her voice grew fainter, eventually dissolving into silent sobs. Bai Qingyue crawled over as well. Her legs had already been shattered by me, and as she inched forward, she dragged 2 long trails of blood across the ground. She crawled to my feet, clutching my trouser leg as she looked up. That face, which had once been beautiful enough to topple kingdoms, was now covered in blood and tear stains. Yuan, sister was wrong too. I shouldn't have believed that beast lies. I shouldn't have plotted to gouge out your spiritual root. I deserve to die. I truly deserve to die. Yuan, I'm so sorry. I stood where I was and let out a cold chuckle. The original soul is already dead. What is the point of this repentance now? Late-coming affection is cheaper than grass. Jia, since you were wrong, come spend eternity repenting inside my human emperor banner. Not only was I reborn, but the human emperor banner came with me. Back then, this human emperor banner was snatched from the hands of someone who claimed to be a transmigrator. I remember that before he appeared, he would always recite a poem to make himself look incredibly impressive. I couldn't stand the sight of him, so I slapped him to death. Something about souls lingering, clouds surging, stars, another slaughter. Forget it. I've forgotten it. I won't recite it. In an instant, the souls of the 4 people were sucked into the human emperor banner. Their souls let out heart-wrenching screams. Their soul forms were constantly torn apart and quickly reformed, doomed to suffer this torment for all eternity. Even then, those 4 souls remained restless, entangling and biting at one another. I hate this. Bai Zhan, Yi Huaijin, go die. I paid them no more attention. Instead, I carefully sent the original host's final wisp of a remnant soul into the cycle of reincarnation. The moment he entered reincarnation, he turned and bowed deeply to me. I gave a slight nod. I hope that in his next life, he won't be born into a family like that. I pocketed all the resources of the Xianxing sect and began a long period of secluded cultivation. Years later, the nine heavens' lightning tribulation roared and tumbled within the clouds as a million silver dragons tore through the firmament. The entire world trembled. Countless experts from across the continent came to witness my ascension. This was a miracle unseen for thousands of years. Under the watchful eyes of the masses, I showed not a hint of fear. Holding the human emperor banner, I bathed in the lightning tribulation. 7-colored celestial light poured through the cracks in the sky, illuminating my body. The heavenly gates swung wide. A dense, endless crowd of experts knelt upon the ground, shouting in unison. We respectfully see the immortal off as he ascends to the celestial realm. I withdrew my gaze, turned, and stepped through the heavenly gates. Soul-haunting, wind and cloud surge, stars circle, and earth squares. Forget it, I won't recite it anymore.